Okay. All right, welcome. Thank you all for coming tonight. And hopefully we will have a great opportunity to ask questions and hear about the overview of the project. My name is Jenny Reisner. I'm the superintendent of the school district. Tonight I also have our high school principal, Spence Evans, here. And I'm going to let everyone else introduce themselves because since I'm only 2 months in, I'm still having a little trouble with names. But I think I've got everybody, but I'm going to go ahead and let them answer questions. And again, tonight's about kind of sharing where we are up to this point, where we've been, and then there'll be some opportunity for you to ask questions and get some clarifications. So again, thanks for coming.
I'm Dean McCormick with Story Construction. Will be the construction manager for the project.
I'm Vicki Highland with O.P.N Architects.
Joe Wallace, also with O.P.N Architects.
I'm Kristen Hurt with O.P.N.
Hi everyone, I'm Roger Worm with O.P.N Architects.
Elisa Franzen, Board President.
And Luke Dierdorf, Board Vice President.
We're going to go ahead and let O.P.N take it away with a presentation, and then we'll follow it up with Q&A.
Well, I'll start us off. Again, I'm Roger Worm with O.P.N, and just excited to be here. For one thing, I'm an Iowa State grad, so it's always nice to come back to Ames, but also to be a part of really a community-changing project for you. A new high school doesn't come along very often, and for you, you're getting one. So in a few short years, the landscape of Ames Community School District will be very different. We're going to take a few minutes and just walk you through how we got to now, and also cue you up for where the next few months and even the next few years will go. So process. I always think about a football game. When you go into a football game, the goal is to go from one end of the field to the other end as straight and as quickly as you can. That usually doesn't happen. You kind of bounce around left and right, get knocked backwards a few times, and eventually you move your way across the field. And this is a very similar process with design. We're at the early stages where it says today, everything to the left is what we've done to date, and that's programming and schematic design. And it's a lot of looping around. It's connecting several dots. It's the goals of the community, it's the needs of the district, it's understanding where are we with budget, size of the building, square footage, how does it fit on a site, and those are all the kind of the test fits that we've done for this project to date. We've gone through a series of meetings, design options, and as we've moved through schematic design, we've kind of fleshed out what works and doesn't work and what makes the most sense as we move through the project. From today forward, we'll move into design development. That's where the information really starts to compress and become tighter. You start to understand how do you bring this thing together. And the level of detail starts to grow very, very quickly. So design development is refining the plans, coordinating across our architecture and engineering team, and then always keeping an eye on a budget as we look at the design development and how does the budget, the cost estimate come together to make sure everything's in check as we move on through the process. When we get to the construction document phase, the very last part, it's really drilled in. We're laser focused, moving straight ahead, and that's where we bring the final construction drawings together to put out for bid and ultimately move into construction after that. So schedule-wise, kind of hard to read at this scale, but the first couple of bars on the upper left when we started back in January was kicking off the programming and moving through schematic design. When you look all the way across the top bar, on down to the second bar, and on down to the third bar, we're tip of the iceberg, where this project is just nicely gaining momentum. And as we move into design development, you can see that there's still quite a ways to go before we get into construction and open the building in the fall of 2022. Meetings have been a huge part of what we've done. We have to open our doors, our ears, and just understand what's important in the district. It's key stakeholders. We've had a total of 44 different meetings from the school board to different faculty and staff, all the different departments, academic, athletics, fine arts, etc. Incredible amount of information very informative and very, very important. It's interesting when you hear the different perspectives of an individual or a group and understanding how that starts to shape a design as you move through building a new high school and all the components that need to come together. It's not only a space, but it's the adjacencies and how does it function and what's the detail that goes into it. And I can't emphasize enough how important these meetings have been and how important they will continue to be, and they'll be ongoing as we move through the rest of the stages of design. So our design assumptions, the big ones, the budget, population, construction, and future expansion. The budget, we're working with $105 million for the high school and $18 million for the pool. Student population, we're working with a number of 1,600 students, and the commons area will be design sized for 1,800. Construction in the pool, as we look at just the economy of scale, how do you move contractors onto a site on a project this big on this particular site? The economy of scale to build both the pool and the high school simultaneously. And then future expansion, always keeping an eye on what does the future hold. As the school population grows, how do we build onto the building in the most efficient, effective manner and maximize the design that's already in place? So with that, I'll pass it over to Kristen Hurt. She'll walk you through our floor plans.
Oh, there. Okay. So let's start with the site, starting with the big kind of overview picture here. Just for orientation, the building, the proposed building is in the white outline up there. And just to the left of the building are the practice fields. These are sitting right over the existing high school, so that kind of helps give you a little orientation. To the north is 20th Street, Ridgewood to the east, and then 16th Street to the south. When we were working on figuring out where this building would sit on the site, we thought about two major things. Parking, where are people going to park, where are students going to park, also where are people going to park when they come to the stadium or to activities, and make that as convenient as possible. And also, what are we going to see both from the building, looking out across the site, as well as what does the building look like to the public when you come up to the building. So you'll see in the floor plans, a lot of the spaces are organized around a view to the west, overlooking the practice fields, the future practice fields, and prairie to the west, as well as the stadium to the southwest. In this diagram, the main entrance to the building is right on the east side of the building, facing Ridgewood. The major student parking is to the south, as well as with some access to the stadium through a new stadium entrance on the south. The faculty parking is on the north side, similar to the way the existing building is today, with a faculty entrance on the north side of the building. We also have a bus drop-off on the east side and parent drop-off on the east side of the building. Let me pop back here. One thing with this site that offers us is the opportunity for a lower level. So the topography of the site falls away towards the stadium from Ridgewood. So we have the opportunity to capitalize on a lower level, which is shown here in this diagram. With the lower level, we found that it would be efficient to put a lot of the athletics down at that level. This would afford having a zero level access to the stadium, kind of making that more convenient. It also helps us use the topography and grading in an efficient way. So in the red on the diagram, we've got the competition athletics. That's the main gym. We've got physical education spaces, which are a practice gym, weight room, and natatorium, which includes the pool on the south end as the south cap to the building. Moving up to the main level, for orientation, the orange space, the natatorium, is on the south here. The competition athletics in the red. These spaces are multi-volume spaces, so at this level, there's a track that connects the competition athletics to the rest of the circulation. The main entrance to the building, again, here on the east, connects you right into the commons. So the commons is the area where, it's the social hub of the building. That's where students are going to have lunch. They're going to hang out probably before and after school, maybe during class when they might have a study hall. That's sort of a social space. Adjacent to the commons is the kitchen and serving area. And then on the north side of the commons is the Performing Arts Center. One piece that we found to be efficient in the layout here was to have a lobby space, kind of multi-purpose lobby space of commons that connects both the Performing Arts Center to the competition athletics area, so that the main entrance becomes also the activities entrance. So we're starting to minimize the amount of traffic that's entering into lots of different doors around the building. We're trying to concentrate it into one entrance for safety. The main office is situated right by the main entrance in the green, with a secure vestibule as well. And then moving north, academics are right in the purple on these are general classroom areas and science areas in the purple. They're arranged in kind of a pod, we call it an academic pod area with collaborative space built into those spaces. Music is in the yellow, and then the CTE program is the north cap of the building in blue. Moving up a level, the academic pods, again, kind of formulate most of this level. This is really an academic level. The center of this level is the media center. If we think about the commons is the social hub, the media center is the academic hub, so it stitches the building together on the second floor. So, after giving this brief overview, I wanted to talk through and touch back on the vision that we worked together to create for this building. These are the words that were used most frequently during all of our visioning sessions with all of the stakeholders, the community, the school board, the faculty, the students. And we wanted to touch on how we are addressing some of these vision statements. So, safety, of course, is paramount in a high school, in any school. And there are a lot of different ways that we think about safety. One of the main things that we can do is have windows for passive supervision for faculty that are in the building. You can see what's happening in the building as well as what's happening maybe outside the building in the parking areas. And another key in safety today with schools is compartmentalization of the building. That serves several different functions, from being able to lock down portions of the building at night during activities so that people don't have free run of the building after hours, and also the ability to do the same compartmentalization in an active threat situation. In addition to that, there's safety for students during storms, students and staff during storms. So there'll be a storm shelter in this building. And then, thinking about the exterior, there's barriers to vehicles from being able to drive into the school and things like that. So there's a large list here, but these are just some of the key points to how we're addressing safety. Welcoming was the second most important word when we went through the visioning with everyone. And we do that in lots of different ways. This building you'll see in a minute in the 3D views, has a very gracious entry, lots of glass, where it feels like a place you want to go in and hang out. And there'll be opportunities for branding and kind of making this an Ames, you're at Ames High School. We'll use some warm colors and inviting color palette and textures that will help make this feel like a place you want to hang out and be. Collaboration is another one of the top words that came up during our visioning sessions. Right now, the existing school, has very little space for students and staff to collaborate. Really, it's the media center. And that's one of the biggest changes with this new school, is building in collaboration space that's dedicated to collaboration throughout the school. It's not, a dual-use space that, maybe just gets used as a classroom down the road and we run out of collaborative space. It's built in and a part of the fabric of the building. And also we have spaces that promote interdisciplinary studies, like maker spaces for students to work on projects that are maybe between different departments. Flexibility, of course, is huge. We want to be able to use the building in its best and most useful way. One of the key features to flexibility with this is the classrooms. We're moving to a model that we don't have assigned classrooms per teacher. There'll be teacher collaboration areas within each of the academic pods, where teachers will have a touchdown space, and then the classrooms can be scheduled for multiple different kinds of classes. So instead of choosing a classroom and kind of living there all the time and using it for one class, we'll be able to provide a variety of different classroom types that then a teacher can choose which classroom type best fits the way they want to teach that class that they're teaching. And that offers us a greater utilization of those rooms, which helps optimize the space that we have within the building. Flexibility also is really about furniture and how, within those spaces, how can kids work together sometimes on projects. Maybe if they're in testing, how do they take tests so they're not working together, and having a variety of ways to set the room up. Natural light is key. We all know that, especially on a rainy day like today. One of the features of this building is capitalizing on the perimeter and creating as many windows and opportunities for natural light throughout the spaces. We particularly paid attention to those gathering spaces, collaborative spaces. Those were first priority to have windows, so those shared spaces that you can drop in and use throughout the day have right on natural light. In addition, we're locating all of the classrooms on the west and optimizing the building perimeter there to get all of those classrooms, or as many as possible, those classrooms to have windows. Sustainability is very important to think about in this day and age. There are a lot of different topics to consider when thinking of sustainability. When we think about schools in particular, we want to, they're buildings that are going to be around a long time, and you've been using the existing high school for quite a while. So the new high school needs to be constructed of durable materials that are going to stand the test of time. We're looking at energy efficiency in all of the selections of equipment. So we're looking at geothermal heating and LED lighting to save energy. We're also looking into alternative energy sources, such as solar, through partnerships possibly with some third-party vendors. Sustainability also means, access to daylight. When you can have the window shades open and have the daylight come into the room and not have to turn on the lights, that saves energy too, and it also feels pretty nice. We also look at creating a site that is pedestrian and bike friendly, in addition to maybe tapping into some of the other forms of transportation like buses. We'll look at water use reduction with fixture selection. And then we'd like to think about this building and site as a learning lab for students. So what are the ways that we can take some of the sustainable features within the building and incorporate them into curriculum and other areas of study? Comfortable. Of course, we want to be comfortable. We learn better when we're comfortable. So warm and welcoming spaces where students want to hang out. Spence has often talked about creating an open campus feel within the building, within the kind of closed school. So we want to create a space that students want to be. Maybe that means a snack shop. It means comfortable furniture in some areas. It means variety of furniture so that people can find what fits them best in the way that they want to learn. It also means logical and easy wayfinding. And then plan for future. You've heard us mention expansion. The academic areas in this building are designed for 1,600 students. So that's the classroom areas, the areas in purple and that we saw previously. Those areas are usually a little easier to expand in the future with an addition or to the building. The common areas in these floor plans are designed for 1,800 students. The common areas like the performing arts, the athletics, the commons are much more difficult to add on down the road. So those are sized a little bit larger. So ultimately, if adding about a 15,000 square foot addition brings you to 1,800 students in academic areas, your commons area supports that kind of growth. We're also looking at constructing the building in a way that makes it easier down the road to modify. So limiting the amount of load-bearing walls you have within the building so you can reconfigure in the future. And also we don't know what technology will be even probably 5 years down the road. So creating a robust infrastructure backbone for the technology so it can be expanded in the future. So with that, I think it's time to check out some of the pretty pictures.
All right, thank you. So as Kristen talked about, a lot of the vision, hopefully you'll see a lot of that sort of shine through on what we're starting for this building to look like. You can see with this bird's eye perspective, Ridgewood is running down here on the bottom side of the picture, and then primarily you'll see the parking on the south side there. As we start to think about materiality, we're looking at precast for a lot of the big boxes over here with the natatorium and the gym. And then you'll see sort of the break where Kristen talked about the commons areas, which will have a lot of natural light, a lot of visual control, and also somewhere where it's really clear where the main entrance is to the building. Again, the office area is out front. That's good for visual control, but also, in a more of a passive way. That was important to laying out this building. And then the music areas and the CTE will start to get a little bit more of an academic feel with brick, and then maybe some metal panel, and again, a lot of windows. You can also see in this rendering the large volume of the fly loft. The Performing Arts Center will be state-of-the-art for this school, so we're really excited about that. As we keep going, really on the west side of the building, you can see the academic pods start to show through with a lot of windows, a lot of views out to the west, but also a lot of natural light and daylighting strategies, which studies show students learn a lot better in those types of situations. The Media Center, again, the academic hub, is located right at sort of the linchpin of all of the academic areas. And then also we have a lot of outdoor seating and really a lot of access to the site as we look forward to the bird's eye. Here's the view from 20th Street. So this would be as you approach the building. Again, the commons area we hope will be the big orientation factor for people coming to the site. You see the office area again, right out front and center. Also, you'll start to see we have a lot of high clear story in a lot of these spaces, and what that does is it provides natural light into the space without direct glare, and it allows a lot of our light fixtures to be, dimmed or off in a lot of scenarios. Here's the main entry as you approach the building. A lot of the big things we're seeing here is it's a collection point for students, guests, bus, everybody coming to the site. The single point of entry is really important as we think about security, but also we're trying to make it a really welcoming area here. As we look on the west side again, you'll remember the academic pods. It's a little bit different feel than maybe as we look at the front of the building. We're seeing a lot of windows, like we said, a lot of views out, and then it's a little more, we have views out to the prairie and a lot of the really great side amenities that not a lot of other school districts really have, like in talking about the prairie and the athletic stadium right on the south side. The media center, that's sort of the jewel box, as we mentioned. You can see it sort of make its way formally and express its way formally into the building, as well as sort of merging the interior and exterior with outdoor dining. And then finally, this is speaking about the amenities. That media center will really be a very powerful space as we think about that view out to the west and the prairie. It will be a really great space for students to learn and socialize and really be something that we're really excited about. All right. Well, that concludes our presentation.